It's Monday. It's about 10:30. It's the 22nd day of August 2022. It's 64 degrees and cloudy, and I am the OGGM, your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and internet nonsense regarding the amazing hobby that is tabletop role-playing games. And it's Monday, which means it's time to take a look at the news. Is there anything going on in the world of tabletop role-playing game that is not directly or indirectly related to Wizards of the Coast this week? And yes, there is. It's a very small story. It's very much hidden behind the Wizards of the Coast stories, but this secretly is maybe huge. I really don't know. Okay, so Embracer Group has announced the acquisition of Middle-earth Enterprise, purchasing the rights to Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. Embracer Group is the entertainment conglomerate that owns Asmodee Games, Gearbox Entertainment, 2K Games, Dark Horse Media, and acquired Square Enix Studios, including the rights to Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Thief. The purchase of Middle-earth Enterprise gives the company ownership of all movies, video games, tabletop games, merchandising, and others associated rights to the novels of J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, and The Lord of the Rings, and the matching rights to any other literary works in the Middle-earth authorized by the Tolkien estate. The CEO Lars Wingefors, Wingefors, said the future plans include both the use of the rights by the companies within Embracer Groups as well as all external licenses. This does not end previous existing licensing agreements in place already, such as the Free League license for the One Ring and the Lord of the Rings RPG, but it does bring into question the long-term status of the license, with Embracer growing the RPG company Edge Studios through their ownership of Asmodee. So Embracer Group now owns Asmodee, who are the people who own Edge Studios, who are the people who make the Star Wars role-playing game. It now owns all the rights to anything that falls under the Middle-earth bandwagon, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, and any other literary works in the Middle-earth authorized by Tolkien estates. Now, what does this mean towards the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set that's coming out? And no, Wizards of the Coast does not own Lord of the Rings, and no, Lord of the Rings is not coming to D&D. The role-playing rights are currently owned by Free League, but now they're owned by Embracer Group, so not Wizards of the Coast. Does this mean that there will still be a Lord of the Rings themed Magic the Gathering set in 2023? Well, the deal's already been inked, but probably. So yes, though it might be more expensive. And I don't think we could look forward to any future crossovers like that because Embracer is probably going to want to make their own Lord of the Rings themed gaming stuff. What about Rings of Power on Amazon? Because Amazon doesn't own Embracer, and Amazon does not own Wizards of the Coast. Amazon does not own Hasbro. Hasbro does not own Amazon. Okay, so So we know Amazon's got their Lord of the Rings stuff coming out. They've got Rings of Power, and they've got the new revised versions of Lord of the Rings coming out, but I guess they don't own those rights anymore. So the ownership of all the movies, video games, tabletop games, merchandise, and other associated rights to the novels. So does this mean they own the novels? Does this mean Amazon owns the novels? They just own the rights to anything that is made by the novels? This is very confusing because we just know that Amazon just paid a lot of money for the Middle-earth rights so they can do the movie and the TV show. But now these guys have bought the rights. So I don't know where their rights ends and Amazon's begins. If they're going to have to give money to Amazon, or if Amazon's going to have to give money to them, how will this affect all the Lord of the Rings projects that Amazon has planned for the Rings of Power and the other novels? So it does say associated rights to the novels, but it doesn't say rights to the novel. So associated rights, I guess, means anything that comes out of the novels, but not the novels directly. Let's double check that to be sure. Associated rights means any rights to purchase shares of the issuer's capital stock or other securities that are associated with any class of stock. So I guess that means they can buy the stock that's associated with the Lord of the Rings Amazon. So I guess it means they get first dibs on Amazon stock. I don't know. Anybody who's a lawyer type person, please explain this to me. But yeah, this could be huge for the Lord of the Rings stuff. And now, just in case you didn't know, here's the Wizards of the Coast news for today. Hey, did you know Wizards of the Coast had a thing on the 18th where they announced all the new stuff that they're making for the end of 2022 and 2023? Okay, I don't know if you knew that, but they did. Amongst the things that they announced was the core pillars of Dungeons & Dragons have changed. Now, the core pillars for Dungeons & Dragons under Gygax used to be combat, exploration, social interaction, character development, and shenanigans. Okay, that is D&D and role-playing up to August 18th. Wizards of the Coast has now changed the three pillars to be D&D rules. Take what you love about 5th edition and update it. D&D Beyond. Put everything about D&D onto D&D Beyond. And D&D digital play experience. Play D&D online. D&D is now going to be a pay-to-play service. Nothing in there about Gygax, nothing in there about adventure, exploration, character development. Everything, their three pillars are now money, money, money. Give us money. Wow, that's just, wow. Well, at least you're honest. There is a playtest available on D&D Beyond. If you want to look at the new rules, I have gone through them on this site. We have the first look at the digital play experience, which is using the Unreal Engine. So it's basically 3D models that you put down to make dungeons and stuff like that. R.A. Salvatore, I guess, has fixed whatever his issues with Wizards of the Coast was, because they're re-releasing all 39 R.A. Salvatore Forgotten Realms Drizzt books. I did not know he'd written 39. I thought there was like 10 or 12. Jesus, 39 books about this mopey drow elf. So we can expect some changes, though, because we know he has gone back and retconned a lot of the stuff to be more politically correct about Drizzt. So I don't know what that means, but they're back. There's a Spelljammer came out. I don't know if everybody remembers that. Spelljammer came out. I haven't heard anything good about Spelljammer, and it seems it's already been forgotten. I haven't seen a single post about Spelljammer at all this weekend. Blah, 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 blah. Coming in December is the Dragonlance stuff. Dragonlance Warriors of Kern and Dragonlance Shadows of the Dragon Queen. Dragonlance Warriors of Kryn is a miniature skirmish game. Shadows of the Dragon Queen is the campaign. It takes place on the world of Dragonlance, not in the D&D world central, and is corresponding with the new Dragonlance book. The skirmish game will probably be mediocre, but the figures will be amazing if it's the figures from the previous skirmish game or anything to go on. We've got the schedule for 2023. In winter of 2023, we have Keys from the Golden Vault, a adventure collection about thieving stuff, but not evil thieving stuff, and nobody actually gets hurt. So think more shenanigans thiefy stuff like Ocean's 11. Even though, shenanigans is no longer part of D&D. So, yeah. So it'll be a collection of adventures like Yawning Portal. In spring of 2023, we have a book about giants. This is based, I guess, loosely on the giant-themed Unearthed Arcana playtest they did. So forget everything you know about giants. It's going to change. And then, of course, it'll change again in 2024. So pretty much ignore that book. Summer of 2023, we have a Phandelver campaign. This is based upon Minds of Phandelver, one of, if not the best 5e adventure that Wizards of the Coast wrote. Considered by many to be the best. So now they've turned the entire adventure into a campaign. So I guess that'll feature Dragons of Icespire, which was a continuation of Minds of Phandelver, and it might include also Dragons of Stormwick Isle. I'm not sure if that was a continuation of Dragons of Icespire. But it's going to be a campaign book, 1st through 10th, with hints of cosmic horror. But it's Wizards of the Coast, so don't worry, it'll be safe cosmic horror. In fall, we have a splat book coming out called The Book of Many Things. It'll be a collection of new rules, new classes, new magic items, new stuff. All sorts of new things for 5e, which of course you can ignore because everything in 5e is changing in 2024. So there's really no reason to buy that either. And in fall of 2023, we have Planescape, which I guess might be the cornerstone of new 1 D&D, or it might be as quickly as forgotten as Spelljammer was. But anyways, yeah, so Planescape is going to be coming out in fall because obviously Radiant Citadel was an utter disaster. So now they're going to try again with Planescape, but it'll be the safe Planescape. And that is it. So yes, the big news is the Lord of the Rings purchase. Again, I don't know what this means for all the Lord of the Rings license stuff, but it should be huge. And just a reminder, no, it doesn't mean that Hasbro owns Lord of the Rings. No, it doesn't mean Hasbro owns Netflix. No, it doesn't mean Hasbro owns Amazon. No, it doesn't mean that the Lord of the Rings characters are now going to be appropriate for D&D. I wish you people would stop spreading these stupid lies. It just makes my job harder. Anyways, that's the tabletop role-playing game news. If you appreciate the words that are coming out of my mouth, let me know. Until then, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And remember, one ring to rule them all. One ring to tell you to get off my land.